The front office of a major Wall Street investment bank represents one of the tightest professional bottlenecks in the global economy. To understand the sheer scale of this filter, we can look at Goldman Sachs's 2014 hiring cycle. That year, the bank received roughly 17,000 applications for their summer internship program. Out of that massive applicant pool, the bank accepted exactly 350 people. That is an acceptance rate of 2.06%. This is a deliberate, systemic sorting algorithm operating at an industrial scale. The algorithm heavily favors specific elite institutions. Historically, up to 46% of Princeton seniors and 70% of Harvard seniors channel their resumes directly into the financial services sector. Compare that to a finance student at a regional or state university. Their resume sits entirely outside this established pipeline. If the hiring mathematics are explicitly designed to filter out the unknown, how does an outsider actually get inside? Securing a desk on Wall Street does not happen in a meritocratic free-for-all. It requires actively reverse engineering a highly rigid gatekeeping structure. The industry separates universities into two distinct categories. The first is the target school. These are institutions where banks conduct OCR, or on-campus recruiting, a system where human resources teams travel directly to a specific university to hire students. For these target students, the banks rent out banquet halls, set up on-site interviews, and actively compete against one another to secure the best candidates. The second category is the non-target school. This label applies to any university where bulge bracket banks allocate zero physical recruiting presence. A bulge bracket bank is one of the world's largest, most profitable multinational investment banks. This bifurcated hiring pipeline was constructed in the 1980s. The initial logic was highly client-facing. Firms realized that staffing their deal teams entirely with Ivy League graduates was an effective way to project prestige and impress potential corporate clients. Over the decades, this evolved into an internal risk mitigation strategy. Hiring managers assume that elite university admissions offices have already run the necessary intelligence and capability screens on these applicants. The target school system allows banks to process thousands of applicants quickly and safely, minimizing the institutional risk of a bad hire. By their senior year, a target school candidate experiences a nearly frictionless recruitment climax. The banks fly them to New York, cover their hotel expenses, and set them up for multiple rounds of high-level interviews. The final step of this process is the Super Day, an intensive gauntlet consisting of at least 6 back-to-back interviews in a single afternoon. A typical target student will secure 5 to 8 of these opportunities across different firms. The non-target candidate faces a completely different mechanism. They are directed to anonymous, automated application portals. Inside the industry, these robotic portals are commonly referred to as the black hole. These systems act as rigid digital gatekeepers. They scan incoming resumes for target university keywords and immediately discard the applications that lack them. To bypass the black hole, the non-target applicant has to abandon the portal entirely and execute a high-volume networking campaign. This requires scouring the internet, cold contacting current employees, and attempting to build personal relationships that might convince an insider to manually pull their resume from the discard pile. Even if a non-target candidate executes this networking strategy flawlessly, they will average only 1 to 2 Super Day invitations. They have exactly one shot to impress the hiring committee. A single mistake eliminates them from the cycle entirely. For the non-target candidate, simply securing an interview requires as much strategic planning, persistence, and endurance as the actual day-to-day work of investment banking. We can measure what happens when these non-target hires actually reach the front office by looking at proprietary survey data collected from current investment banking professionals. This is a chart displaying the results of a survey that asked Wall Street deal teams to rate their non-target colleagues on a strict 1 to 10 scale across various professional competencies. When asked to evaluate their work ethic, the respondents gave non-target employees an exceptionally high average rating of 9.14 out of 10. For personal skills, the rating was even higher, coming in at 9.18 out of 10. These scores correlate directly with the grueling mechanics of the black hole recruitment pipeline. The extreme friction required to secure the job acts as a secondary hyperfilter. It strips away applicants who give up easily, leaving a cohort selected entirely for raw grit and high interpersonal EQ. However, grit cannot entirely replace specialized technical training. When deal teams rated their non-target colleagues on problem-solving skills, the average score dropped to 8.10. This solid 8.10 bar dissolves into a scatter plot of individual data points, revealing a volatile distribution that ranges erratically from 6 to 10. This distribution indicates that a non-target employee's technical competency fluctuates wildly from person to person. This is the direct result of academic variance, the highly unpredictable finance curriculums taught across hundreds of state and regional universities. Target Ivy League institutions teach highly standardized financial modeling. A bank knows exactly what technical skills a Wharton or Harvard graduate possesses on day one. This data point justifies human resources' initial hesitation. A candidate from an unknown university represents a statistical unknown regarding raw financial knowledge. Putting a non-target hire onto a live trading desk is a gamble for immediate technical execution. Non-target hires arrive with superior behavioral traits, but their foundational technical skills carry a wide and risky margin of error. Pulling back from the data, we can see how these hiring dynamics dictate the physical reality of a modern Wall Street trading floor. A standard bulge bracket transaction is handled by a deal team, a tightly knit organizational unit consisting of 4 to 5 individuals responsible for executing a specific financial maneuver. Based on the thesis data, the demographic breakdown of these teams is heavily skewed. Exactly 75% of the personnel are target school alumni, leaving 25% for non-targets. Statistically, this means that on almost every major financial transaction on Wall Street, there is only one non-target employee in the room. That individual is entirely surrounded by peers who benefited from the frictionless brand equity pipeline. Despite the overwhelming algorithmic barriers designed to keep them out, non-targets remain a persistent structural minority in the daily workflow of global finance. The survey of seasoned investment bankers concluded with a qualitative question that forces a reconciliation of this technical risk and behavioral reward. The researchers asked the professionals, when forced to choose, who would you rather work alongside? Exactly 100% of the respondents who stated a preference chose the non-target candidate. This preference creates a direct conflict with the HR algorithm that is built to exclude these exact candidates. Human resources and automated portals are optimized for massive scale and institutional brand safety. But the actual deal teams are solving for a different variable. They are optimizing for high-pressure endurance and psychological resilience. In the 100th hour of a work week, a deal team faces a specific choice. They can risk the technical variance of an outsider or the risk of a teammate who has never been forced to fight for their spot. The recruitment system is heavily biased, but the extreme friction it creates is exactly what proves the non-target candidate's ultimate value to the desk.